Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong will be attending the G20 summit in New Delhi over the weekend, and this comes at the invitation of his Indian counterpart, Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Mr. Lee will participate in discussions about the importance of rules-based multilateralism, sustainable development, health and energy transitions, among others. He will also meet other leaders on the sidelines. Deputy Prime Minister Lawrence Wong will be acting Prime Minister during Mr. Lee's absence.
A first-time G20 host, India is hoping to push the green agenda at the summit this weekend and lend a voice to the global south for more inclusive growth. Observers say the Ukraine war might still loom large over geopolitical tensions and economic uncertainties at this gathering of world leaders.
And they believe that even though Singapore isn't a member of the G20, it can provide a voice of balance so that countries can work together and keep the global economy going. Rebecca Mateo with this report.
Leaders from 19 countries and the European Union will be here for the G20 summit at New Delhi to discuss a range of topics. These countries make up some 85% of the global GDP. But for the first time, the Chinese president will skip the session. This means the highly anticipated talks between President Xi Jinping and his US counterpart Joe Biden will not take place. However, with Chinese Premier Li Qiang attending the summit, observers expect the topic of US-China tensions to still come up in New Delhi. Coupled with the elephant in the room, the Ukraine war, these issues will set context for the green and inclusive economic growth agenda that India has set.
There is the question of climate change and sustainability that requires global effort. And there is also questions about global inequality, about the global south, and how economic gains need to be redistributed. These are topics that India itself has brought up as key themes for the summit. But I think that given the geopolitical and geo-economic challenges the world faces, I think there are some other topics that will emerge. This includes the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine, US-China rivalry, as well as US-India rivalry.
Like other countries, Singapore is also hit with spillovers of the conflicts, such as rising energy and food prices. All these may prove difficult to push for the green agenda that Singapore also has an interest and stake in. A consistent point that Singapore has been reiterating is rules-based multilateralism. This ensures all countries have access to energy, food and agricultural commodities, especially during crises. Observers say this levels the playing field as Singapore navigates through geopolitical tensions and economic uncertainties.
We need to keep this economic growth growing for Singapore and confidence of our trading partners in Singapore. We need to keep trumpeting this need for everybody to observe a rules-based multilateral system. And in that sense, we can keep the Singapore economy going while also saying to our partners, we keep your business flowing through Singapore.
Singapore Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong will be at the summit. He will speak on the importance of rules-based multilateralism and sustainable development, among others. Although Singapore is not a G20 member, the country has been invited to past summits. Singapore represents the informal grouping of 30 small and medium-sized economies. Observers say Singapore will want to act as an objective voice and as a concerned friend. Rebecca Mateo, CNA, New Delhi.